expectation versus agreement. So what you will start to do is you start to have your employees show up a little differently. You take the drama out of management and you have people that can actually count on each other.
This week, we are excited because we had our good friend, Rick Scherer, co-founder of On2 Mortgage, on the podcast. And we've known Rick for a long time. He is a leader in the mortgage industry. Being in our line of business, we know a ton of mortgage brokers and lenders and realtors, attorneys, but we know very few who actually transitioned from being a loan officer employee at a company to actually starting their own mortgage brokerage, and now moving from that into becoming his own lender. And so he's got a very unique circumstance and experience to share. And we're pumped to convey that and share that with you.
This is a good one to pay attention to how you kind of form your own company based on a problem that you see in an industry that you're already in, which is super scary. And cheers to Rick for doing it and Rich for doing it. It's a testament to their grit and willpower. Two big takeaways that I personally had is one is Rick's theory of managing by agreement. It's a very interesting philosophy, and it's one that you should kind of take some time to digest and see how you can apply in your personal and professional life. And the second thing might be a little bit more simpler. It's how a very easy email address has led to a rapid change at his company. The good ones.
Yeah, Rick is a great dude and a good speaker in general. So it's fun to kind of just have that conversation with him. He's honest, hardworking, he's organized, he's good with people. And more than most people in professional services, he understands the importance of process. He's a great guy to listen to and a good guy to connect with afterwards.
I don't know if you have any other compliments you could possibly say about a human being. You have rattled off quite a few. It's almost kind of like we're having like the Pope on here or something.
Did I say he's organized?
Probably.
I actually don't know if he's organized.
I'd imagine he is. At least we aren't.
He could be more organized than we are.
Yeah. Well, here we are with Rick Scherer on the Big W.
Rick Scherer, thank you so much for being on the pod with us today. We're really excited to have you.
This is a big deal, guys. Appreciate you including me in it. Excited to be with you guys for a little bit.
And we've had a lot of different guests. I don't know, Zach, is this like 11 or 12th episode? Or
this feels like the first to me, Matt.
So I was 12th on the list.
The only one that mattered, right? The thing that we enjoy so much, Rick, is, everyone we've talked to has a different story, a different journey. Even if they're in the same space, we make sure to try to find different stories and different narratives that can be told. And we've known you for a long time. We've been really good friends for a long time. We highly respect what you've done. You've always been one of the best of the best of the best loan officers in the country. I mean, top of the list, 1% every single year. The thing that really kind of caught our eyes and really got us excited about having you on, though, isn't that you're just really good at what you do. It's that you've taken a major, major risk and done something very unique in moving from just being a loan officer that worked for a company to starting your own mortgage brokerage and then recently making a shift into a lender. And so we want to start off by just kind of letting you take the mic and explain to us a little bit about what was the main driver for making this major change, because you've had such experience and such success. So why would you want to change that? Why would you want to start from scratch and start something new with a lot of risk? And kind of want to hear, what was the driver for that?
Yeah, well, back when I was 10, no, but really, I mean, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. When I was 10 years old, I literally went door to door and created my own landscaping business. And, not growing up with money and the ability to go buy my own sneakers and polo shirts way back in the day and champion sweatshirts, you had to do what you needed to do to get what you wanted. So for me, it started off really early on. And when I went to Bentley College, Bentley University now, and when I wasn't sitting in class, I was actually learning the mortgage business. Because, not being able to buy books senior year, I knew I had to hit the ground running with really whatever I did after college. So I've always loved real estate, but I was drawn to the mortgage business and real estate because of the entrepreneurial spirit that you have. Someone once said to me, listen, you can go sit over in the cubicle over there and make $30,000 a year and be an assistant, or, you could be a loan officer and eat what you kill and you're 100% commission. And I remember saying to the gentleman at the time, I said, wait a second, so you can't determine how much I make if I go do this thing? And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I go, sign me up. And honestly, he said, no. He said, you're not going to make it. He said, well, you're 22 years old. Like, who's going to get you a mortgage? And so It's a little back and forth. And quickly he said, you know what? I'm going to give you a shot. I was driven to the fact that if I put my head down and work as hard as I can, almost like the Gary Vee thing, like not going out with all your friends every weekend and not like, but literally putting your head down and driving, I control my own destiny. So,
do you think early on with that experience, if that, what was that guy's name? Do you remember?
Mike Gillis. Yeah.
Okay, so
in the business.
If Mike had said to you early on, like, Rick, you are going to be a superstar. You are going to be such a success. I would love to hire you, like, as opposed to like, there's no way you can make it, man. Like, do you think you'd have the same motivation to do it?
Motivation's pretty ingrained. However, I get what you're saying, and it makes me do that much more to succeed. Kind of fast forwarding a little bit, my last employer looked me in the face as I was being gracious and letting him know what my plans were. And he said, when you fail, you can come back. You can come back to me.
I love that.
Really nice.
Feelings. And so, yeah, listen, it absolutely drives me. I mean, I'm competitive, but I'm more competitive internally.
Want to really highlight, though, what was the driver for starting your own brokerage, starting your own business and creating your own processes and getting your own vendors and getting your own employees and doing HR and all the stuff that you traditionally haven't had to do. So what was the main driver?
So I worked for a bunch of different mortgage lenders throughout the downturn, and you had to kind of zig and zag. Some went out of business, and so you're always doing that. And what I learned in the industry is when you get recruited, you get told everything that you want to hear. And if it's 50% right, you're doing well. What I always had a hard time with was not being told the truth, going over, and then having someone else control your destiny, right? It's having someone else say, oh, we're going in this direction, we're going in that direction. It's going to affect how you're doing it. So although I loved the entrepreneurial spirit around the mortgage industry, I hated the fact that it depended on some other person up here. And so what I was always doing, every single company I went with, and I don't regret any decisions I made or any places I went, because I learned a valuable lesson in each one of those places. What do they do really, really well? And where do I never want to be? And so the way that we've created Onto Mortgage is taking all of the great things that I learned at some of the big company I was at, the small companies, the boutique, the bank I was at for 3 long, grueling, crazy years. I took it all. And that's how we created Onto Mortgage with our core values and our guiding principles. Everything encumbers that. So I'll tell you the reason why I pulled the trigger and did it myself is because it fires me up. Like, I've been in it 18 years. And I can honestly look you guys in the face today and tell you I'm the happiest I've ever been in this mortgage industry. And that really just comes down to what I get to do every day, who I get to lead, who I get to bring into the organization. We hired 2 people today. So this morning I was on a call every time when the day that they're hired, it's an hour and a half with me, talking about the core values, talking about how we deal with situations and upgrading, managing by agreement. I go through the whole thing day one. So that doesn't matter how big we grow this, everybody is understanding how we make decisions. What guides us, core values is legit the rudder of our boat.
Can you go back and hit on what managing by agreement means?
So in the past, I've been a horrendous manager, high producer, right? It's usually just a great high producer and have a team because you need one, right? But through coaching, I actually feel I've become a very good leader, a very good manager. And that's because we manage by agreement. I'll tell you the quick philosophy behind it. You guys both lead people, right? So if you said to Jill, hey, Jill, I need you to call Rick. It's really important that you call him today and let him know this, right? You tell her that at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then by 5 o'clock, you say, hey, Jill, how'd that call go? She goes, well, I haven't gotten to it yet, right?
Jill wouldn't do that. Jill, come on. No.
But if you think about it, right? You know that feeling in your gut where you're just like, I told you it was important to me, right? Well, what is she? She doesn't know what important means, right? And you don't know what she's got on her plate. What she's up to, what she's got going on in her world. And so what we do is we clean up our language. So it's expectation versus agreement. We leave expectation alone and we talk about agreements. And so what we do is we coach her on coming up with a co-authored agreement. So now I got Dylan. Dylan, I need you to call this client and I need you to call him by 3 o'clock today. Is that something you can do? And then he's going to look at what he's got in front of him and he's going to say, yeah, boss, I got that. No problem. 3 o'clock, I got it. Or he's going to say, hey, I've got 6 things here. And I can do it at 4 o'clock, or let's move some things around. Great. Now I can make a decision, right, of where I need that to be in the hierarchy of what I said. Now, Dylan's girlfriend, Kendra, has a flat tire on the side of the road, right? He's got to go save the day. Well, he can't call that client by the time we agreed upon. Life happens. It's not going to be perfect. But what he has to do is 3 things every single time. You come clean. Hey, Rick, come to the side of the road. I plan on sleeping on the big boy bed, so I'm actually going to go and get her off the side of the road. Got it. The second thing is you re-promise. Hey, I can't do it by 3, but I can do it by 5, right? The third thing you do is you clean up your mess. And clean up your mess just means they're going to call the client, text the client, send the client an email saying, hey, I need to call you by 3. Something popped up, and now I'm going to call you by 5 o'clock. Okay?
I'm going to pause this podcast and just go back and fix every miscommunication I've had in the last 10 years. I'll be right back. That is gold. I love that.
But if you think about it, what that allows me to do is move around my world, not worrying about that he's going to go and honor his word, right? Be integrity around his word. Now, 5 o'clock comes, he didn't do it. Something happened.
Bye, Dylan.
The thing that's really cool about this is I'm not managing to the thing, the drama, the why it didn't happen, right? Because we can go in a rabbit hole. We can spend a lot of time there. All I'm talking about is him being in integrity of his word. Dylan, you didn't call the client. You didn't do the things that would have kind of brought you back in integrity. Hey, listen, he might have forgot. You didn't write it down or whatever. So cool. Let's make an agreement that doesn't happen again. So what you will start to do is you start to have your employees show up a little differently. Right? You take the drama out of management and you have people that can actually count on each other. So our third core value is everybody can count on each other. And that's because within the organization, they're all making agreements with each other on a daily basis, right? So my processor is asking the assistants to do something, like they can all count on each other. And it's funny, I coach this across the country. I'm doing with Dylan all the time. And I'll always say, hey, Dylan, call the client. He's like, hey, boss, when do you need that done by? Oh, yeah, right. Can you do it by 3? Because he loves it too, because now I'm helping him prioritize. He's not left wondering what the next thing to do is.
Yeah. Love that, Rick.
If you are constantly having a conversation with an employee about them honoring their word, being in integrity, you will quickly identify the fact that they're either sitting in the wrong seat, on the wrong bus. They're not winning at their jobs. And so it's up to you as a manager to figure out the best course of action on that. But it just doesn't get you into the rabbit hole of
the drama. Yeah. You're not going to have many of those conversations with someone else being like, I think I just have the wrong person. I just feel like they don't live up to the, you don't ever have that. What was it? Come clean, re-promise, clean up your mess. Those are so strong, so strong. But my favorite thing, I think the most important thing that you said in there was the co-author of the agreement, because it's one thing to move from expectations to agreements. But if the agreement is like, hey, Zach, I need you to do this. Do you agree to it? And he's like reporting to me. He's going to be like, yeah, okay, boss, thanks. But if we do it together, right, it creates a lot more ownership, accountability. It's a healthy conversation. So they can actually say, no, I can't get that done, right?
And again, it's up to you to redirect it. But talking to a lot of loan officers across the country and other leaders, a lot of it, sometimes you get the ego, like, well, no, they work for me. And you got to let that go. Yeah, of course they work for you. And you're going to have the final say in whatever happens. But I'll tell you, when you can give in to that co-authored, it's just, our culture is through the roof just because people care about each other. Yeah, it's just little tweaks, man. And like, I try with my wife all the time. I mean, it's like, hey, I'll be home at 6. But when we tell her 6, you walk in at 7:30. There's only so many times you can do that before you start losing that credibility. Start losing that. And listen, we're not all perfect at it. It's just where we can make those small tweaks is really what's going to make the difference in our lives, right? In our personal lives, professional lives, whatever it may be. You got to be able to be counted on as much as humanly possible. So it's just those little things that we can do to make it happen.
It's an interesting way to look at it. And I think the leaders that Matt and I admire are the leaders that feel like they serve their employees. They don't look at it as their employees work for them, because that leads to this mentality of all of a sudden, oh, why do they leave? I think that's the next conversation after. This agreement mentality, which I love, it very much seems like you're just creating more autonomous employees. You're creating employees that actually feel like they control a little bit of their tasks to get to the mission. It sounds like that's kind of what you're trying to create.
100%. I mean, I'm making decisions, company decisions, not what's happening next month, 6 months, or a year from now. I'm 3 years, I'm 5 years out, right? So I know what this thing is going to look like. And it's funny because someone just asked me today, well, how much production you want to do? I don't care. If we concentrate right now on people, that's it. And if you're nice and you're good, like, I'm going to hire you. And guess what? The business is going to come, right? You're going to attract them. So, again, I don't have this number in my brain about that, but it's the people that we're growing. And if I want to build a skyscraper, what do you have to do? But the tallest skyscraper in the world, you got to have a foundation. You got to have a base.
I was going to say you have to have a lot of lending, a lot of mortgages, a ton of money, a lot of capital.
Exactly. A lot. But one is you have to have a base of solid individuals that one department, and again, mortgage industry, typically sales runs operations or operations run sales. That just doesn't happen because it's all cohesive. So
taking us through the first month, 2 months, were there some major challenges that pop out to you that you didn't expect that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome them?
One thing that I was really clear on is to always expect the unexpected. So actually we opened the doors, our year anniversary is tomorrow. It's on the 15th. We had a couple of months of running room before we hit COVID. And to be honest with you, we were able to really easily navigate just because we don't know any differently, right? We're not a legacy company that had 5,000 people working from an office, right? That had to pivot. So, certainly COVID was and because of the volatility in the marketplace, we didn't lend for 3 weeks, and business owners, you're like, now what, right? What's this going to look like? But we first of all came out of the door and said, no one's being laid off. Like whatever we need to do, whatever needs to happen. So don't come into this like you think your job is ever at risk. So we nixed that real quick. But, I think I made some decisions on hiring in the beginning. I went a little bit out far of culture that I definitely wouldn't now, but it's really easy to course correct that stuff really quickly. And it worked out for everybody. But yeah, we have things coming at me 10 times a day and I love it, man. I'm a problem solver. So it's like, all right, cool. Tell me what it is and how we get through. One of the best quotes that I always reflect, I actually sent this to Rich last night at 2 a.m, is when you feel that you've exhausted all possibilities, just know this, you haven't, because it's just a story of our life, right? You're banging down, one way to do it, and you just got to go around. You got to figure out the way to make it happen. And so that's really what we're living by.
Early on, when you start a company, one of the hardest things to do is get feedback early on, because you already have ideas. Like you opened this company for a reason and it's going to be the right reason, yada, yada, yada. You have to have a little bit of bravado when you start, but you have to have some humility. You have to mix that in. So the roundabout question of asking you is, in this first year, how do you get a 10,000 foot view of how you're doing? Like who do you elicit feedback from to improve?
Absolutely our team. And so we have an email address, ideas@ontomortgage.com, that everybody is shooting ideas out from. One of the things that COVID has allowed us to do is actually hire our talent pool. I've got a woman who works in Georgia. I've got someone in Maryland. I've got someone in New Jersey. And, they're all coming from really great companies and they do it a little bit differently. And what I always tell people when I onboard them is all I'm doing is looking to take the friction out of the lending piece of it. Right? That's the main goal. If I can make it faster, if I can make it cheaper, if I can take whatever that is, I want to hear about it. There's zero ego here. I always tell my team, I'm good at 2 things. That's it, right? That's why I have Pam and I've got Heidi and I've got all of these. Yeah, that's generous, right?
A good roundup.
but yeah, no, listen, we want everybody's feedback. The cool part about it is we're in the sales trenches. I have my own sales team. I produce. Rich Clayton, my business partner, he produces. So in the sales time, we're in it. We see it. I never want to be disconnected from that. But I'm not a processor, and quite frankly, I'm a horrible processor. But how can we get better? One cool thing is we hired 2 people, probably 7 months ago now, who didn't know a thing about mortgages. They came highly recommended, and they were just like, hey, they're good people. And we said, great. We started one as an operational assistant and one in our disclosure department. And they have crushed those roles. And I'm also like, okay, now let's go over it. She's like, nope. Give me this. I've got this, and I'm gonna own it. We had an issue. We've got some attorneys that are dragging their feet. You probably know some of them on their titles, right? And we're saying, hey, how are we going to get all this stuff back? And Addie got off the phone at 10 o'clock at night. I'm going through my email, and there's an email from her. It's this big. It's here's how we're going to do it. This, da, 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 da. I'm like, brilliant.
Love that.
That's cute. So, I don't know all the answers. Like I said, I know a couple things. The company is going to be the one that's going to drive this. The people, the talent that we have, they're the ones that are going to do it.
So many places don't get that. And when the leadership finally does understand that, sometimes they're too big and they got a foundation that's weak. They haven't solicited that feedback. They haven't encouraged safety in giving that feedback over the years. And so to do it and to understand that, to have the insight now is awesome to hear. I'm going to start sending you information and ideas to ideas@ontomortgage.com.
Oh, I already sent an email.
I can only imagine what's going to come my way.
Zach's already sent you 3 emails.
Yeah, I perfected looking here but typing.
I just want to add to that. I'll tell you, it's my most favorite part of the month. First Wednesday of every month is our all company meeting. The night before, I send out an email to everybody and say, it's employee of the month, right? But it's all nominated by their peers. So, I don't have a say in it. Rich doesn't have a say in it. And by the way, we've never been nominated either. So, but it's probably the most proudest moment that I have when you have literally 25 people sending emails about the people that are supporting them, that are saying, hey, within 2 weeks, I called Pam, she dropped everything and now I know how busy she is. I wouldn't have known that. Like, it's just literally paragraphs of things that people in the company are doing for each other. And then we tally them up, and then I share some of the feedback every month. It's awesome. It's awesome. So you're just encouraging all of that.
You've created an environment that encourages people to want to provide that feedback, and they wouldn't do so otherwise. Maybe once in a blue moon, but that's because you guys are saying this is important and you're safe to do it. More businesses should listen to that and definitely start encouraging that type of feedback from employees. Coming back to another item that you had mentioned earlier, you kind of skimmed over it about coaching. We know about you that not only have you had a coach for a long time, believed in coaching, but you yourself have been a coach for a lot of other loan officers. What was the main reason you decided you needed a coach, and why did you want to then go into coaching others?
In the mortgage industry, you're always getting bombarded by these coaches saying, hey, come talk to me, and up until I think that was probably 12 or 13 years in the business, I knew that I wasn't set up to have a coach yet because I didn't have a foundation. You didn't know how to coach me to yet. Right. And so really it just clicked when it just sort of happened. This guy, Mark Vanieri, I was going through my spam folder and I found something saying, hey, are you a top producer and want to talk with other top producers? Because I've always worked for companies that Rich and I were kind of the number one, number twos. And then who do we look up to? Right. And so you're kind of, masterminding a little bit, but this was like top in the country. And I said, yeah. And so I flew out there. It was 3 days in LA, and it was just masterminding with 6 other top producers. And I was like, hey, I got bit by the bug. And it's like, man, I thrive in this. And so I ended up hiring Mark, and Mark is still a good business partner of mine today. And what I've learned through Mark, it's been amazing. Knowing how I got transformed into being a leader, how I addressed issues. You got set off so quickly, right? But there's a whole way you just need to kind of process everything. And there's a bunch of different things that I learned that I was like, you know what? I can take this and take some tactical stuff that's been really good for me, and I can bring that out to other loan officers across the country. And while I worked for other companies, it was a big thing for me, right? Because I could go and talk. I had a coaching client in California and a coaching client in Colorado, and it fired me up. I loved that. And again, that was another reason why I went and opened my own company, because now what fires me up is taking a guy like John on my team that will shatter a $25 million record this year, but I want to make him a $60 million just by tweaking a couple of things. Just get him organized, getting him on the right track. That's what fires me up. And so, knowing that I could go out, start my own company, and then grow my sales team to be efficient, to be great, not waver on customer service and care. I'm a huge proponent of coaching, the right coaching. If people are out there in the market and just need that direction, interviewing 3 or 4 coaches and going with your gut is a life-changing thing.
So initially it was really that you wanted to seek out ideas and feedback from other top producers and see what are they doing that I'm not doing to get better. And in the process, realizing how much more growth that you personally and professionally could have. That transformation led then you to want to offer that transformation to others. And ultimately now you can do that internally with your own environment on too.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's cool. There's not a ton of mortgage companies out there that are doing it. They say, oh, go hire a coach. But I think if we're all kind of breathing the same oxygen as far as how to go out and generate, how to be in service to your real estate agents, right? What do they need? How can you go support them? There's a lot of people out there with their hand out saying, hey, send me business. You have a buyer over there, that kind of stuff. And that's palm out stuff. And I want to do palm down stuff. I want to give value. How do we drop value to them and do it easily and create relationships with the right people? So yeah, I'm just excited. What we're doing right now is we're building that foundation, and we've got a bunch of loan officers who we're talking to, and I'm not ready to bring them on yet. I don't want to be the recruiter, right, from the companies I've worked with in the past saying, come on over, we'll figure it out. No, that's not it. So we're building it, and then we're going to have a bunch of growth in next year, but you need to do it right. It's got to be smooth.
That's cool. One of the things I wanted to expand on was someone telling you to go find a coach. I see that a lot in different sales type of roles where you got someone who's doing really well. and someone tells them to go find a coach, it's kind of like them saying like, I don't want to help you. Go find somebody else to help you. It'd be weird, like approaching your spouse and be like, hey, go find a marriage coach. It'd be strange. It'd be really odd because that person didn't ask for one. Do you try to network with now other entrepreneurs and leaders in the same capacity, or is there a different coach that you're currently using or looking for? Is the same kind of mentality?
It's groups. It's the groups of individuals. Rich is part of a coaching program that actually has 30 people in it, right? And they're all thought leaders in the industry, people who own mortgage companies, own mortgage bankers, loan officers. And so it's tapping into your network and the people that you know, right? Your network is your net worth. You've got to surround yourself with people that are just operating at level 10 and are willing to share, are not holding things so tight. I've done 6 mastermind events with other top producers across the country, and we're best friends. One of the exercises I'm going to do next week is I'm calling all of them and I'm interviewing them. Hey, what do you like best about your company? If you could change anything about your company, what would it be? What's keeping you there? And it's not a recruiting call. I'm not looking to recruit them, but that's going to give me so much information to find out. Because again, I can't recruit myself, right? So I need to find out from out there how I can go and be effective and also offer things that people want, right? What's important to people. So it's the focus groups, it's the masterminding, it's all of that stuff. You can't pretend you know everything. And like I said, I don't. So you've got to lean on those people who are willing to help you. And at the same time, man, you're adding a ton of value to them. It can't be a take, right? It's got to be a jab, right hook. It's been really cool because a lot of people have reached out, had a lot of support from a lot of people in the industry, real estate. It's just breathing all that in and putting it to work. So it's been great.
That's hard. You highlighted something that I know I've struggled with. Which do you find harder, asking for help or helping others? Harder
is asking.
Yeah.
I love giving. Like if you don't shut me up, I'll just keep talking and trying to add value. It's much easier for that. But at the end of the day, because I feel like I add value, like it gives me that permission to go, hey, what are you doing over there? Hey, how are you handling this? Like I'm not feel guilty about it. Or if I was a taker, right, that's my mentality was I was going to take. Yeah, I would feel horrible about it. I had a loan officer come in when I was a big mortgage company. He wanted to shadow me for half a day. I guess you'd call us competitors, right? We're in the same market. And he came in, he absorbed everything. And, he kind of walked out and I go, hey, did you got one thing for me? And he's like, yeah, personal note cards. I go, hey, by the way, it was phenomenal. Like I still do personal note cards. So it had value, but it's like, if you're going to take, you got to give.
Amen. That's so funny. You think you gave like 9 awesome nuggets and they're like, yeah, no, just note cards. That's the one thing.
No, I had to ask for it though. He was literally halfway out the door. And they go, hey, what do you got for me?
That's great. Hey, you mentioned a few times about core values. There's a lot of people out there who either don't have them because they've never sat down and done it or understood the value or put them on paper just because they were told somewhere, read somewhere in a book that they needed to have them. I love yours. Could you go over yours and kind of explain like how you got to them? Yeah,
one of the things, again, working at other companies where they would say, hey, make sure there's room on your wall for our core values, right? And you got them and you're like, no. And so it was really, really important to us. Just another really quick story. We were going to actually buy a mortgage company. So it would have been a lot easier, right? Walk in day one, write a check, and we're a mortgage banker and we're off to the sunset. And what I clearly and quickly found was the culture of the business was going to take me a hell of a long time to fix. And I wasn't interested in that, just because of the fast kind of get moving. I said to my partner, Rich, I go, no, you know what? If we can build it and there's no wavering, I don't have to go backwards and things like that. So just to give you an idea of where we're coming on the culture part of it, it's not something we put up on the wall. And if that's what you want to do, I would skip it altogether because sometimes it just makes you look worse when you don't adhere to them, right? The way I looked at this is, okay, what's important to our business, right? Our customers, our people, and how we can be together and count on each other. So the first one is clients first. Self-explanatory. I don't sell checking accounts, CDs, can't get a mutual fund from me. We do mortgages. That's it. And so if I don't have a client to sell them a mortgage, we're bored. We're not doing much. And so if we can't go above and beyond for our clients, no problem. I'll call the insurance agent. No, I'll take care of this. Real quick story. In January, right before COVID, I had a 3-week business trip. I had 3 different things I had to do. I had a coaching thing. I had a mastermind thing. I had to go accept an award. But in the middle, so I didn't get divorced, we planned 3 days at Disney World, right? And so as I'm flying all over, I go to Disney World and I'm there. And that was my biggest nugget of the 3 weeks. I looked around Disney and I said, why are there a million people here right now? Why is that? My daughter came down with the flu. And so we had to take her to the doctors, and the resort helped us with that. The GM of the resort came, the head of the vacation club came, and they said, 4 hopper passes for 4 of you, come back in the next year. And I'm like, I didn't ask for that, right? So it's us being Disney. How do we provide that Disney experience to our clients? Okay. So client first. The second one is the thumb rule, right? Adherently as culture, right? We're always pointing. That person didn't do their job. That person didn't do that. That client, didn't drop the ball, all that kind of stuff. That's finger pointing. And so what we do is it's a thumb pointer. So if somebody doesn't go right for me or doesn't go right for someone on the team, instead of going, oh, that person should have done it differently, you always got to look to yourself first and say, what could I have done to upgrade how I asked for that or how that thing went down, what I expected to happen? Maybe I got to change my language. Maybe I got to get an enrollment from them to do it. Whatever it may be, how can I upgrade over here, right, before I start blaming other people? And if we want to fix issues and fix them fast, the only way we're going to do that is to keep working on ourselves. That's not to say we don't have to deal with something over that Susie did, right? But it's how can we fix it first, right? So it's the thumb rule. We're not finger pointers. Always be growing. And this is what I love about this company is we take like a Myra or an Abby who started with not knowing anything about mortgages. 2 in 6 months are running divisions, right? And they're going to expand as we get into the lender field. And so anybody that starts at the company is always going to grow wherever they want to grow internally, but also we want people to grow personally, and so during COVID, we brought in some mindful coaches. We've got the Calm app, whatever we could do. We do Champagne Friday, which is from you guys every Friday at 4:30. It's just growth. It's everybody be growing. It's huge for us. Then we've got always having fun. We work hard. We play hard. Everybody that comes to get the Nerf gun, and we have Nerf gun fights in the office when there was before COVID. So Rich's gun actually has a motor in it, so you can kind of hear it when he's starting stuff. And so everybody grabs it and go and then the phone rings and all the doors shut and we go back to work. So
that's great.
Again, with the Champagne Friday, and we're doing a murder mystery event, the 26 of us tomorrow night, who done it around Onsu Mortgage. And so it's our people. If we're going to be doing this so much and so long, you got to have fun doing it. You got to have fun with the people that you're doing it with.
You covered your bases, focusing on your clients, focusing on your people, touch on your culture, and you're only really going to filter out the people who fit that when you're hiring. We did it too in the very beginning. We hired too quickly and just needed warm bodies, and let a few people come through that really shouldn't fit that wouldn't like the Nerf guns, that wouldn't enjoy the murder mystery or whatever. But I think you guys have nailed those down for sure.
Yeah, It's been great, man. As long as we're concentrating on the people, like I said, I'm confident that everything else will come.
I was challenged with this question myself recently. I thought it was an interesting question. The question was, what problem does Onto Mortgage solve in one word?
Friction comes to mind, because again, there's so much friction in this industry, in this business. Anti-friction, if I have to hyphenate and put it all together. That's my main goal when I'm sitting with my team. How can we shorten the process? How can we take the friction out? So,
yeah, I think working for you, if you were to take a different angle, could be something along the lines of purpose. Because I think about what it would be like to work at Onto Mortgage. It feels like a problem you're solving for me is having purpose in my work. It just feels like a lot of what you guys are doing is listening to your team, whether it be the ideas at inbox. Again, anyone listening, ideas at Onto Mortgage.
That's right. Shoot them over.
That's like, hey, you might get your best one from a listener, but It just seems like a lot of the things you're doing is to make your employees feel like they have a purpose there.
Thank you for that. I'll tell you that what we're seeing is anybody in the mortgage industry understands that it's extremely hard to hire right now. It's hard. Everybody's busy. The money flying around, to pay people and things like that. We don't want to compete with that. What happens in our industry when it's busy is they overpay for all their people. Rates go up 0.25%. Everybody's laid off. And now everybody is fighting for the same jobs, right? And so what I've told everybody that we've hired is I don't want to pay you a lot of money for a little period of time. I want to pay you a good amount of money for a long period of time. And, we're not growing because we're busy because the rates are low. We're growing because we're expanding and we're growing the team. So it's not a flash in the pan thing for us. But what I'll tell you is, and even the 2 people on board this morning and 2 people last week is they joined us because of culture. They joined us because they understood it. They got the core values. They knew that they came here. They got people to count on. So we're paying them fairly. We're not paying nearly as much as some of the other big lenders out there because they need bodies. And so we're definitely seeing that people are like, I'm on the train. And again, it's huge and meaningful to us because we're not just, again, throwing it up on the wall. It's something that we're talking about every day.